Planning is well underway for what promises to be one of the most significant commemorations in American history, the 250th anniversary of our great nation. While we've covered many local and state level preparations, today we are taking a broader view. We're excited to be joined by Rosie Rios, chair of America 250, the national organization leading the effort to honor our nation's past and inspire its future. Rosie, we're honored to for you to be here with us today. Thank you so much for taking the time. Like I said, we've talked to many local and state level preparations for the 250th anniversary, but give us an overview of America 250.
Yeah, we're really excited that this is happening, and thank you again for having me. So this is the Congressional Commission that's planning the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. We were formed in 2016. We have 24 members, all appointed by the House and Senate majority and minority leaders, and we're all partisan, nonpartisan, bipartisan. So we've been working on this effort for a while, and thankfully we have our programming in place. We're ready to go, and we really want to make this the most comprehensive commemoration and celebration this country's ever seen.
And now the anniversary isn't until 2026, so we still have a little bit of ways to go, but the celebrations are happening. They're here, they're now. So what is happening right now at a nationwide?
Yeah, so we want to make sure this is a sea to shining sea effort. In fact, the legislation that formed this commission actually calls out several priority cities, and Charleston is one of them. So it also includes Boston, New York, Philadelphia, but we really want people to feel like this is as local and grassroots and community driven as possible. So we actually have a few projects that have already launched. Our first one, in terms of our public invitation, is literally called America's Invitation. So we launched this last July 4th in Wisconsin at the Milwaukee Brewers against Chicago Cubs baseball game. We did that with Major League Baseball. And America's Invitation is a video portal where you can go even now onto our website, america250.org, and submit your video that maybe it's your ideas, your memories of the bicentennial, maybe it's your family recipe. We've already generated thousands of videos to date. So that's a kind of a great way to kind of dip our toe in the water. And at that time we were 3 years counting, and so now we're less than 2 years counting.
And now you are in Charleston for a meeting that is not open to the public, but can you give us a little bit of behind the scenes or inside scoop about what this meeting is for?
Absolutely. So we chose to come to Charleston because of course, its significance to the American Revolution, but also because, look, I mean, it's a wonderful place to visit. We got to go where history happens, right? And so this is one of our 4 regular commission meetings that we have throughout the year. And we're also here because we have one of our ambassadors, Darla Moore, who is also here in Charleston. And so we are meeting this coming Friday at the Old Exchange and Provost Dungeon, and the night before we're having a reception at the Library Society. So at the reception, the Governor and First Lady McMaster is going to join us. Darla is going to be there, and also one of our winners of one of our competitions, Milo Bashan, is going to be there with his parents. And so Milo was one of the award recipients for one of our other kind of national signature programs called America's Field Trip. And so this is something that we did as a pilot program in the spring, where it's a national student competition for grades 3 through 12, answering the question, what does America mean to you? And so the beauty of this program is the award recipients get to choose from a series of backstage experiences with our federal agencies, most of which have never been offered to the public. So Milo entered his essay. He did a great little essay, I think weaving science, a comparative analysis of science and the American Revolution. And so he chose Yellowstone as his field trip that he took this summer with his family.
And his story was incredible. We actually had the opportunity to speak with Milo, and he is just a wonderful young boy. And I want to talk about you, Rosie, because your background is not rooted in history per se. So how did you get involved in America 250?
Yeah, well, again, it's a congressional commission, and look, we're not historians. Most of us aren't historians. We are volunteers, every single one of us. And of the 24 members, there are 16 private citizens and 8 standing members of Congress, 4 from the Senate, 4 from the House. And all of them are appointed by the Senate and House majority and minority leaders, so we're equally represented on the partisan front. But again, thankfully, we're all partisan, bipartisan, nonpartisan. No political ideology has made its way through any of our conversations. And I was appointed by the Senate Majority Leader as a member of the commission and as chair by the president. But I came through, I mean, look, my background's in finance. I was managing director of investments up until 2008 for a $22 billion firm based in San Francisco. But I did serve on the Treasury Federal Reserve transition team at the height of the financial crisis. So from November of 2008 to February of 2009, I was one of about 24 finance professionals who were brought in to put the economy back on track. If you remember the financial crisis, a very scary time. And I never in a million years thought I would ever work for the federal government. But of those 24 or so members, about half a dozen recommended for a permanent appointment, and I was one of them. So I served as Treasurer of the United States for a full 8 years. And then continued my work. I launched a nonprofit in 2016 called Empowerment 2026, and then also served on the Treasury Transition Team in the fall of 2020 during the pandemic recovery. So I would consider this, I suppose, when I was appointed as chair 2 years ago, as my 4th tour of duty. And look, I never ever thought I'd be doing this, but never say never. And I do believe this is obviously one of the most historical and significant milestones for our country. What it means to be the oldest democracy in the world has a responsibility, and the eyes of the world will be watching us, not just because of the 250th in 2026, but it's also the World Cup in 2026. And let's not forget, 2 short years later is the Olympics in 2028. So most recently I was on this panel at the Milken Global Institute in LA, where it was me and it was Gianni Infantino, the head of FIFA, and then Janet Evans and Lindsey Vonn, gold medalists, talking about the convergence of these 3 historical milestones, all happening in the US, all on these global platforms where the eyes of the world will be watching us. And so that responsibility that we have in terms of being the oldest democracy and what that means to the rest of the world, and that you still have all these people who want to come here and pursue their own American dream, that is something that we want to celebrate and commemorate. And also, you mentioned about history. It absolutely is about history, but it's as much about the future as it is the past. And who do we want to be as a country in the next 250 years? And so a lot of our programming, you'll see, is geared towards this next generation of leadership. We want to inspire them. We want to help them visualize their future.
Rosie, that was beautifully said. It will be incredible to be able to witness these celebrations that are occurring and that are even starting now. America250.org is where you can go for more information. Rosie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're back after this.